The transport ship shook as it passed through the energy barrier. Park sat in chains with 40 other prisoners. His wrists hurt from the metal cuffs. His body was tired from 3 days without real sleep, but his eyes were wide open, watching everything. Through the small window, he saw it for the first time, the Void Citadel. It floated in the darkness of space like a giant metal spider. The prison station was built around a dead star, using its weak gravity to hold everything in place. Lights blinked across its surface. Gun towers pointed in every direction. Counted 12 docking ports, 8 visible antenna arrays, and hundreds of windows that looked like cold, dead eyes. The alien next to him made a sound of fear. It was a creature with blue skin and 4 eyes. All 4 eyes were wet with tears. 3,000 years, the alien whispered. No one has ever escaped. We will die here. Said nothing, he just kept watching. The ship landed hard. Guards in black armor pulled the prisoners out one by one. They were not gentle, stumbled but did not fall. He kept his head down and his eyes up. He saw the guard's weapon, a plasma rifle with a slightly loose grip. He saw the door mechanism, an old magnetic lock system. He saw the floor panels, removable for maintenance access. A mechanic's eyes never stopped working. They marched through gray hallways that smelled like metal and chemicals. Other prisoners watched from behind energy barriers. Some were small, some were huge. Some had shapes that brain could not fully understand. This was a prison for the entire galaxy, every species, every crime, every monster. And now one human mechanic. The processing room was cold and bright. A tall alien stood in the center, waiting for them. She had an insect-like body with hard black shell covering her arms and chest. Her head was narrow, and her eyes were like dark glass. She moved with the slow confidence of someone who had complete power. "I am Commander," she said. Her voice was sharp like breaking ice. "I am the warden of the Void Citadel. You are now my property." She walked along the line of new prisoners. Some trembled, some tried to look brave. When she reached, she stopped. "A human," she said. The word sounded like an insult. "I have heard stories about your species. Soft bodies, short lives. You come from a heavy planet, yes. A death world, they call it." "Yes," said quietly. "Yet you look so fragile," leaned closer. "What is your crime, human?" "They said I smuggled weapons." "Did you?" "No." Laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "They all say no, it does not matter. Here you are guilty of being here. That is the only truth." She turned to a guard. "Put him in Block 7, Labor Tier 4. Let us see how long a soft human survives." Block 7 was deep inside the station. The cells were small boxes made of gray metal. Energy barriers hummed across the doorways instead of solid doors. Inside each cell could see prisoners of different species. Most ignored him. A few watched with hungry eyes. His cell was at the end of the hall. When the guard pushed him inside, he found he was not alone. The creature sitting on the lower bed was massive. It had 4 arms, green-brown skin like old leather, and a face full of scars. Its eyes were small and black, like holes punched into its skull. When it saw, it stood up. Its head nearly touched the ceiling. "Human," it said. Its voice was deep like distant thunder. This is my cell. That bed is mine. That corner is mine. Everything is mine. You are nothing. Understand?" Looked at the creature. He looked at the room. He looked at the ceiling. "I understand," he said. Grunted and sat back down. He seemed disappointed that the human had not argued. He wanted a reason to hurt something. Climbed onto the top bed. It was hard and thin. The blanket smelled bad. He did not care about any of that. He was looking at the ceiling. There was a panel there, slightly darker than the others, a maintenance access point. It was sealed, but the seal was old. The screws were a standard size. He smiled, very small so would not see. For the next 3 days was quiet. He ate the bad food without complaint. He followed the guards without trouble. He did not speak to other prisoners unless they spoke first. Everyone thought he was scared. Everyone thought he was weak. That was exactly what he wanted. On the fourth day, the heating unit in the cell broke. Cold air filled the small space, roared and hit the walls. He called for guards. No one came. The guards did not care if prisoners were comfortable. Useless, growled, we will freeze. Climbed down from his bed. He walked to the heating unit on the wall. It was a simple machine, old but functional. He could hear the problem. A loose connection inside was making a clicking sound. What are you doing? Demanded. Did not answer. He pressed the panel in 3 specific places. It popped open. Inside were wires and circuits. He studied them for 10 seconds. Then he reached in with careful fingers and reconnected 2 wires that had come apart. The heating unit hummed. Warm air began to flow. Stared at him. How did you do that? Closed the panel. I'm a mechanic, I fix things. Something changed in small black eyes. It was not friendship, not yet, but it was something close to respect. The guards never fixed it, said slowly. For 6 months I asked, they laughed. Guards do not see machines, said. They only see walls and doors and prisoners, but a machine is never just a wall. It is 1,000 small parts working together. If you understand the parts, you understand everything. That night, lay on his bed and listened to the station. He heard the hum of power conduits behind the walls. He heard the rhythm of air recyclers above the ceiling. He heard the click of magnetic locks every time a guard walked past. The Void Citadel was a machine. The biggest machine he had ever seen. And every machine, no matter how big, had weaknesses. Loose panels, old wires, forgotten access points. You just had to know where to look. Commander thought she ran an escape-proof prison. She thought her walls were unbreakable. She thought her systems were perfect. But she had made one mistake. She had put a mechanic inside her machine. Closed his eyes and smiled in the darkness. He had a lot of work to do. The waste recycling section was the worst place in the Void Citadel. It smelled like death and chemicals mixed together. The air was thick and hot. Most prisoners begged to be sent anywhere else, had requested to work there. The guards thought he was stupid. They laughed and granted his request. They did not understand. The recycling section was connected to maintenance tunnels that ran through the entire station. It was the heart of the machine, and wanted to understand every part of this machine. On his first day, he met. She was small, barely reaching his chest. Her skin was covered in tiny green scales that shimmered when light hit them. Her eyes were large and golden, like 2 small suns. She moved quickly, always looking over her shoulder, always expecting danger. You are the human, she said. Her voice was soft but clear. Everyone talks about you. What do they say? That you are either very brave or very stupid, that you fix heating unit, that you watch everything but say nothing. She tilted her head. Which is true, brave or stupid? Smiled, maybe both. Laughed, it was a quick, nervous sound. I like that answer. I was a teacher on my home world. I taught young ones about history and politics. Then I said the wrong things about the wrong leaders. Now I am here. I was a mechanic on cargo ships. I fixed engines and life support systems. Then someone needed a person to blame for missing weapons. Now I am here. They worked side by side that day. Was clever. She talked about the prison, about the guards, about the other prisoners. She had been here for 2 years. She knew many things. The warden was a military commander, explained. She destroyed entire planets during the border wars. When the wars ended, they gave her this prison as a reward. She sees us as enemies to be controlled, not people to be kept. She seems proud of her prison, said. Very proud. No one has escaped in 3,000 years. She believes it is impossible. The energy barriers cannot be broken. The guards are everywhere. The station is surrounded by empty space with no planets nearby. Even if you left the station, you would die before reaching anywhere. Nodded, he was carrying a container of waste to the processing unit. As he walked, his eyes moved constantly. He saw the pipes above. He saw the control panels on the walls. He saw the small doors that led to maintenance tunnels. 3,000 years is a long time, he said. Things get old in 3,000 years. Looked at him strangely. What do you mean? Nothing, just thinking. That evening, returned to his cell with a small metal tool hidden in his sleeve. He had taken it from the recycling section. It was just a simple wrench, but it was enough to open maintenance panels. Noticed him hiding it under his bed. What is that? The big alien asked. A tool. For what? Looked at his cellmate. Was a pirate. He had attacked ships and stolen cargo. He was violent and dangerous. But in the weeks they had shared this cell had learned something important. Was not evil. He was just someone who had never had any other choice. Can you keep a secret? Asked. His face twisted into something like a smile. Human, I have kept secrets that would make your small ears bleed. Ask anyone, never talks. Good, because I am going to escape from this prison, and I might need your help. Was silent for a long moment. Then he started laughing. It was a deep, rumbling sound that shook the walls. Escape from the void citadel, he laughed harder. Human, you are insane. I was right about you. Maybe, said, but I have been watching this place. The security systems are old, very old. No one has updated them because no one ever needed to. They rely on technology from 800 years ago. So I have been a mechanic for 15 years. I have worked on ships older than this station. I know how these systems work. I know their weaknesses. Stopped laughing. His small black eyes became serious. You really believe you can do this? I do not believe, I know. Every machine can be understood. Every system can be beaten. You just need patience and knowledge. The big alien leaned forward. And what do you need from me? Protection. While I work, I need someone to watch my back. There are prisoners here who would sell information to the guards for better food. I cannot let them see what I am doing. Was quiet for a long time. Waited. He knew this was a risk. If refused, he might tell the guards, but had watched him carefully. Hated the guards. He hated Commander. He had nothing left to lose. If you fail, said slowly, they will kill us, slowly, painfully. Yes. And if you succeed, we will be free. Yes. Extended one of his 4 massive hands. Then I am with you, human. Life in this cage is not life at all. Death while fighting for freedom is better. They shook hands. His grip was strong enough to crush stone, but he was gentle. The next week, things moved faster. Explored the maintenance tunnels during his work shifts. He mapped the station in his mind, remembering every turn, every door, every junction. He found the main power conduits. He found the communication arrays. He found the security control center. Other prisoners began to notice. They whispered about the strange human who watched everything. Some thought he was a spy for the guards. Some thought he was planning something. Was one of them. He was a tall alien with gray skin covered in ritual scars. He led a gang of violent prisoners who controlled the black market inside the prison. Nothing happened without his permission. When he heard about, he came to Block 7. Human, said, standing outside cell. His voice was like gravel scraping metal. I hear you are clever. I hear you fix things. I could use someone clever. I am not interested, said politely. I am not asking, smiled, showing teeth filed to sharp points. You work for me now. In exchange, my people will protect you. Refuse and bad things will happen. Stood up from his bed. He was bigger than his 4 fists clenched. The human is with me, growled. Find your workers somewhere else. Looked at, then at. His eyes were calculating, dangerous. This is not over, he said. Then he walked away. That night, Commander came to Block 7. She walked slowly past the cells, her insect eyes scanning each prisoner. When she reached cell, she stopped. "I have heard interesting things about you, human," she said. "The guards say you requested the worst job in the prison. They say you fixed machines that were broken for months. They say you watch everything with those strange little eyes." Looked at her with an expression of simple confusion. "I am just a mechanic. I like machines. They make sense to me. People do not." Studied him. Some would say a mechanic is dangerous in a place like this. A place that is, after all, just a very large machine. "I am not dangerous," said. "I am just trying to survive." "See that you do only that. Survive, nothing more." She walked away, her hard footsteps echoing in the hallway. Let out a slow breath. That was close. He needed to be more careful. But he could not stop now. He had found what he was looking for. 7 critical systems. 7 weak points. If they were all disabled at the right time in the right order, the entire station would go dark for exactly 4 minutes. 4 minutes of chaos. 4 minutes of opportunity. 4 minutes to escape a prison that had held for 3,000 years. He just needed a team. He could not do this alone. The search for allies would begin tomorrow. Found in the communications repair bay. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and quick hands. Her black hair was cut short, and there was a burn scar on her left cheek. She had been a hacker before the prison, the best in 3-star systems. "I know why you are here," she said without looking up from her work. "Everyone is talking about the mechanic with a plan. You want my skills." "Yes," said simply. "And why should I help you? I have 2 years left on my sentence. If I stay quiet and behave, I walk out alive. If I help you and we fail, I die. You were arrested for exposing corruption in the colonial authority. You showed the galaxy that officials were stealing medicine meant for sick children. They were letting people die for profit. And for telling the truth, they put you here." His hand stopped moving. She finally looked at him. "What is your point?" "My point is that you did not stay quiet when it was safe. You did not behave when they wanted you to. You fought because it was right. That is who you are." She was silent for a long moment. Then she laughed bitterly. "You are good at reading people, mechanic." "I read machines. People are just complicated machines." Stood up, she was shorter than him but somehow seemed larger. "Fine, I will help you, but I want to know everything, every detail of your plan. I do not follow blind." "I would not want you to." He found in the medical wing. The old alien was recovering from a beating by other prisoners. His species had thin, pale skin and long fingers made for delicate work. He had been one of the greatest ship engineers in the galaxy before a business rival framed him for sabotage. "I designed the engines that powered colony ships," said weakly. His voice was tired but proud. "I helped build stations bigger than this one. Now I am dying in a cell, forgotten by everyone." "I have not forgotten you," said. "I read about your work before I came here. Your engine designs are still used on half the cargo ships in the trade lanes. You are a genius. A genius who cannot even protect himself from thugs. What if I told you that you could use your genius one more time? What if I told you that you could escape this place and prove to everyone that you are not what they said you were?" His tired eyes showed a small spark. "I would say you are either a fool or a prophet. Tell me your plan." The hardest one to find was. She was in solitary confinement. The guards had put her there after she broke another prisoner's arm for attacking a weaker inmate. She was young, maybe 25, with a face that looked too soft for prison. But her eyes told a different story. They were the eyes of someone who had seen terrible things. Had to bribe a guard with his food rations for a week just to speak to her through the door. He said through the small opening, "I know your story. You were a military pilot, the best in your unit. They ordered you to bomb a settlement full of civilians and you refused. They called you a traitor and sent you here." "Go away," her voice came from the darkness. "I am planning an escape. I need a pilot, someone who can fly anything. Silence. I know you have given up. I know you think you deserve to be here because you could not save those people. But you did save them. You refused to kill them. That was the right thing to do. More silence. Then very quietly, they bombed them anyway. Another pilot did it. I refused and they died anyway. My choice meant nothing. Your choice meant everything. It meant that you are the kind of person who will not do evil even when ordered to. That is rare. That is valuable. I need people like you. A long pause, then the sound of movement. How do you know we will not all die trying? I do not know, but I know that dying while fighting for freedom is better than living without hope. A friend taught me that. When spoke again, there was something new in her voice, something alive. When do we start? The team met in secret in a storage room that had discovered during his maintenance work. It was the first time all of them were together, stood guard outside, sat nervously in the corner, leaned against the wall with crossed arms, sat on a crate breathing slowly, stood apart from everyone watching. Thank you for coming, said. I will explain everything now. He had drawn a map of the station on a piece of cloth. It was rough but accurate. He pointed to different sections as he spoke. The Void Citadel has 7 critical systems that control security. The main power grid, the communication array, the guard coordination network, the cell block locks, the hangar door controls, the emergency response system, and the tracking sensors. If we disable all 7, said slowly, the whole station goes dark. Not dark, chaos. For exactly 4 minutes there will be no power, no communication, no coordination. The guards will be blind, the doors will be open, and the hangar will be unprotected. 4 minutes, said, that is not much time. It is enough if we are prepared. Each of you has a role. We'll disable the communication array. We'll trigger a false reactor warning to clear certain sections. We'll secure a transport ship in the hangar, and we'll create a distraction in the cafeteria. And you, asked. I will disable the main power grid myself. It is the most protected system. I need to do it in person. That is suicide, rumbled. Maybe, but I am the only one who understands how it works. I have spent weeks studying it. I know exactly what to do. The room was quiet. Everyone was thinking about the risks, the fear, the hope. Then spoke. Her small voice was surprisingly strong. I have been in this prison for 2 years. Every day I wake up and think about my students back home. I think about the lessons I will never teach, the lives I will never help. I thought I would die here forgotten. She looked at. You are giving us a chance, a real chance. I am with you. One by one the others nodded. They were with him. But then the door opened. Walked in, his face twisted in an ugly smile. 2 of his gang members stood behind him. Well, well, he said. A secret meeting, planning something, are we? Moved forward, fists raised, held up a hand. Easy, big one, I'm not here to fight, I am here to join. You are not welcome, said coldly. I am now, because I know what you are doing, and if you do not include me I will tell Commander everything, tonight. The room was tense. His mind raced, was dangerous, unpredictable, but if he talked too, it was over. Fine, said. You are in, but you follow my orders, no exceptions. Grinned, of course, I'm a team player. He was lying, knew he was lying, but there was no choice. He would give a job that kept him away from the critical systems, something important enough to satisfy him but harmless if he betrayed them. That night could not sleep. He stared at the ceiling of his cell and thought about everything that could go wrong. There were so many risks, so many ways to fail. But he also thought about his team, about hope, about loyalty, about fire, about pride, about courage. They were counting on him. He could not let them down. He whispered in the darkness. Yes. They built this prison to hold monsters. They forgot that humans are the ones who build cages, and we always leave ourselves a door. Made a sound that might have been a laugh. I am starting to like the way you think, human. Tomorrow, the real work would begin. The day of the escape came with no warning, had chosen it carefully. A group of officials from the Galactic Authority were visiting the station for inspection. Commander would be busy impressing them. The guards would be focused on looking professional rather than watching prisoners. It was the perfect moment of weakness. Woke early. He lay in his bed and went through the plan one more time in his head. Every step, every timing, every backup option. He had prepared for weeks. He had memorized every path, every system, every possible problem. Today they would be free, or they would be dead. Human said from the lower bed, "Are you ready?" "Yes." "Good, because I am tired of this cage. I want to see stars again. Real stars, not through a prison window." They shared a look. No more words were needed. The morning routine began normally. Prisoners went to their work assignments. Guards walked their usual paths, went to the recycling section like every other day. No one suspected anything. At exactly 10 hours station time, it began. Was first. She had been assigned to communication repairs weeks ago. She knew every wire, every circuit, every weakness in the system. She pretended to work on a routine problem while secretly reprogramming the main relay. At 10 hours and 3 minutes, she pressed a hidden switch. The communication array went silent. Guards across the station suddenly lost contact with each other. Their radios made only static sounds. Confusion spread quickly. Was next. He was in the engineering section, pretending to do maintenance on the reactor monitors. When the communications died, he entered a sequence of commands he had memorized. Warning alarms screamed. Red lights flashed. A calm voice announced, "Reactor instability detected. All personnel evacuate sections 12 through 18. It was a lie. The reactor was fine, but the guards did not know that. They ran to their emergency positions, leaving large parts of the station empty. In the cafeteria, stood up from his table. He walked to a group of prisoners from another gang. Without warning, he grabbed the biggest one and threw him across the room. The fight exploded instantly. Prisoners screamed and attacked each other. Tables flew. Guards rushed in from all directions, trying to control the chaos. Slipped away during the confusion. Her small body moved through the crowd like water through rocks. No one noticed her leave. In the hangar, walked calmly past panicking guards. They were running toward the fake reactor emergency. They did not see one small woman moving against the crowd. She reached the transport ships. There were 5 of them, used for prisoner transfers and supply runs. She chose the fastest one, a small military shuttle that could outrun most pursuit ships. The door was locked with a code. Smiled. Had given her the code yesterday, stolen from the guard database. She was inside in seconds. The engines hummed to life under her hands. It felt good. It felt like freedom. Phase 1 complete, she whispered to herself. Now everything depended on. The central power hub was in the deepest part of the station. It was protected by 3 security doors, constant guard patrols, and a monitoring system that tracked every movement. Had bypassed all of it. He crawled through a maintenance tunnel that was not supposed to exist. He had found it 2 weeks ago, hidden behind a fake wall panel in the recycling section. It was an emergency access route, built when the station was new, forgotten over 3,000 years. The tunnel was dark and narrow, moved slowly, carefully. He could not make any sound. Finally, he reached the power hub. He pushed open a small hatch and dropped into the room. It was beautiful. Dozens of machines hummed and glowed. Power cables thick as trees connected everything. This was the heart of the Void Citadel. If he stopped this heart, the whole body would fall. He moved to the main control panel. His fingers found the switches and circuits he needed. He had practiced this moment 100 times in his mind. 3 switches down, 2 cables disconnected, 1 button pressed. The lights flickered. "Stop!" Commander stepped out of the shadows. She held a plasma pistol pointed at his chest. Her insect eyes gleamed in the dim light. "Did you think I did not know?" she said. "I have watched you from the beginning, human. Every tunnel you explored, every system you studied, every secret meeting with your little team." His heart pounded, but he kept his face calm. "Then why did you let me get this far?" "Because I wanted to see how far you would go. I wanted to understand how a soft, simple human could plan something so ambitious. And now I know." She stepped closer. "You are not simple at all. You are clever, dangerously clever, but cleverness is not enough." "Maybe not. Your friends have already been captured. The guards knew exactly where each one would be. This was all a trap and you walked right into it." Felt cold fear in his stomach. All caught, all because of him. "No, wait." He looked at more carefully. She was alone. If his team was really captured, she would have brought guards with her. She would have wanted witnesses for her victory. She was bluffing. "I do not think that is true," he said slowly. "If you had my friends, you would be showing them to me. You would be making me watch them suffer." His eyes narrowed. "You came here alone," continued, "because you wanted to capture me yourself. You wanted the glory, the famous warden who caught the impossible escape attempt, but you made a mistake." "What mistake?" "You forgot what I am." He pressed a button on the console behind him. Every light in the station died. Complete darkness fell. The hum of machines stopped. The air recyclers went silent. For one perfect moment there was nothing but black emptiness. Then fired her pistol. The plasma bolt hit the wall where had been standing, but he was already moving. In the darkness, he was just another shadow. He ran for the maintenance hatch, his hands finding the way by memory. Behind him screamed in rage. "Find him, find all of them, lock down everything." But there was nothing to lock down. The power was gone. The security systems were dead. The doors were all open. Climbed through the tunnel faster than he had ever moved. His lungs burned. His muscles screamed. But he did not stop. 4 minutes. He had 4 minutes before the backup power activated. 3 minutes and 30 seconds. He burst out of the tunnel into a corridor full of confused prisoners and guards. In the darkness, no one recognized him. He pushed through the crowd toward the hangar. 2 minutes and 40 seconds. He heard gunfire somewhere behind him. Guards were shooting blindly. Prisoners were fighting back. 1 minute and 50 seconds. The hangar doors appeared ahead. They were open just as planned. 1 minute and 10 seconds. He ran inside. The shuttle's lights glowed in the darkness. The door was open, was in the pilot's seat. "Get in," she screamed. He jumped through the door. Behind him, he saw and running toward the ship. They jumped in together, crashing onto the floor. "Where are the others?" gasped. "Is in the back," said, but 50 seconds. Outside the ship, guards were flooding into the hangar. They saw the shuttle. They raised their weapons. "We have to go now," shouted. Wait looked through the window. He saw a small figure running across the hangar floor. She was almost there. But guards were closing in. She would not make it. 40 seconds. "Run!" roared. She ran faster. Her small legs pumped desperately. The guards were right behind her. 20 seconds. She reached the shuttle door, grabbed her hand and pulled. But a guard grabbed her other arm. For one terrible moment she hung between them, prison and freedom, death and life. Looked at, her golden eyes were calm. "Go," she said. "You have to go." "No." She twisted free of his grip. She kicked the guard in the face. She fell backward onto the hangar floor. The door slammed shut. "Go," she screamed from outside. 10 seconds. Punch the engines. The shuttle lifted off the floor. 5 seconds. The hangar doors began to close as backup power returned, flew straight at the narrowing gap. They made it through with inches to spare. Then they were in space, open, free, endless space. Behind them, the void citadel grew smaller. Its lights flickered back on. Its weapons turned toward them. But it was too late. They were already gone, flying faster than any prison ship could follow. Roared in triumph, laughed with tears in her eyes, collapsed with relief. But stood at the window, looking back at the prison that was now just a point of light. Was still in there. She had sacrificed herself so they could escape. He pressed his hand against the cold glass. "I will come back for you," he whispered. "I promise." The shuttle flew through empty space for 3 days, pushed the engines as hard as they could go. She knew every trick to squeeze extra speed from a ship. She had learned them during her military days before everything fell apart. Sat in the back of the shuttle, staring at nothing. He barely ate. He barely slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw falling backward onto the hangar floor. He heard her voice telling him to go. She had saved them all, and he had left her behind. Sat next to him on the second day. The big alien did not speak at first. He just sat there, his 4 arms folded across his chest. "You are blaming yourself," finally said. It was not a question. "Yes." "Stop." Looked at him. "The small one made her choice," continued. "She saw what needed to happen and she did it. That is courage. If you spend your life feeling guilty, you insult her courage. She deserved to be free, more than any of us. Yes, and she will be free because you will go back for her." Put one massive hand on shoulder. "I have known you for only a few months, human, but I know this about you: when you say something, you mean it. You do not lie, you do not break promises, so keep your promise, go back, save her. But do not destroy yourself with guilt before then." Took a deep breath. Was right, guilt would not help, action would. "Thank you," he said quietly. "Do not thank me. Just do not make me regret following you." On the third day, they reached a free station called Horizon Point. It floated at the edge of Galactic Authority space, in a region where laws were loose and questions were rare. It was a place for smugglers, refugees, and people who did not want to be found. The shuttle landed in a busy hangar, stepped out and breathed air that did not smell like prison. It smelled like fuel and food and freedom. Had contacts here, people she had worked with before her arrest. Within hours, she had found them shelter in a hidden section of the station, a small apartment with enough beds for everyone. Not comfortable, but safe. "We cannot stay here forever," said. They were sitting around a small table, sharing their first real meal in days. "The Galactic Authority will be searching for us. Commander will not let this embarrassment stand." "I know," said, "but we are safe for now. That gives us time to plan." "Plan what?" asked. "Our next mission." Everyone looked at him. "We escaped," said, "but did not. She sacrificed herself so we could live. I am not going to let that sacrifice be for nothing. I am going back to the Void Citadel. I am going to rescue her." Silence filled the room, then laughed. "You are insane. You know that, right? We barely escaped the first time. The prison will be on high alert now. Security will be doubled. We'll be waiting for exactly this." "I know. And you still want to go back." "I promised her." More silence, then spoke. "I am in." "Me too," said. "That prison took 3 years of my life. I would love to cause it more problems." Nodded slowly. "I am old. I thought I would die without doing anything meaningful. This seems meaningful." Shook her head, but she was smiling. "Fine, but this time I want a better exit plan." In the days that followed, news of their escape spread across the galaxy. It was the biggest story in 100 years. The Void Citadel, the prison that had held for 3,000 years, had been broken by a small group of prisoners led by a human mechanic. Commander appeared on news broadcasts, promising that the escapees would be caught. Her insect face was twisted with rage. Behind her, the prison floated in space, looking somehow smaller than before. "This changes nothing," she declared. "The Void Citadel remains the most secure facility in the galaxy. These criminals exploited temporary weaknesses that have already been fixed. They will be found and returned to their cells." But nobody believed her. The impossible had happened, and if it happened once, it could happen again. Watched the broadcast in their small apartment. He saw his anger and felt something like satisfaction. She had underestimated him. She had called him soft and fragile. She had thought her machine was perfect. She was wrong. Reports came in from across the galaxy. Prisoners in other facilities were inspired by the escape. There were riots on 3 different stations. Guards were nervous. Wardens were demanding better security. The whole system was shaken. One human mechanic had done that. Later that night, sat alone by the window looking out at the stars. So many stars, so many worlds, so many possibilities. He had spent his whole life fixing machines for other people. Now he had broken the biggest machine of all. Found him there. "Thinking about?" she asked. "Thinking about everything." She sat next to him. "You know, when you first came to me with your plan, I thought you were crazy. A mechanic who wanted to escape an escape-proof prison. It sounded like a joke. What do you think now?" "I think you are still crazy, but I think the galaxy needs more crazy people like you." She paused. "Why did you do it, really? You could have kept your head down, served your time, eventually been released." Thought about the question. He had asked himself the same thing many times. "When I was young," he said slowly, "my father taught me to fix machines. He said that a machine is honest. It does not lie or cheat. It either works or it does not. If something is broken, you can fix it. If you understand how it works, you can make it better. And people are not like that. No, people are complicated. They lie. They betray. They do things that make no sense. But when I look at a system, even a system made of people, I see the same patterns. I see the connections. I see the weaknesses. I see how it can be changed." So you see the galaxy as a machine. A broken machine, full of corrupt officials and unjust laws and prisons that hold innocent people. Someone needs to fix it. Was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "You really believe you can do that? One person against the whole galactic authority?" "Not one person, all of us. And everyone who sees what we did and thinks maybe I can do something too." He looked at her. "Every big change starts small. One broken wire. One loose connection. You fix one thing, then another, then another. Eventually, the whole machine is different. That could take a lifetime. Then we better start now." The next morning, gathered his team around the table. He had a new schematic drawn on a piece of cloth. It showed the Void Citadel again, but this time with new markings, new notes, new plans. "Here is what we know," he said. "They will have increased security in all the areas we used before. The maintenance tunnels will be monitored. The communication systems will be protected. They will be ready for us to try the same thing again." "So we do something different," said. "Exactly. We do not sneak in this time. We walk in through the front door." Everyone stared at him. "During our escape, I downloaded files from the prison computer, prisoner records, guard schedules, and one very interesting document." He smiled slightly. "A list of every official who has taken bribes from Commander to keep her in power." "Blackmail," said with appreciation. "Leverage. We are not just going to rescue. We are going to expose the whole corrupt system that keeps places like the Void Citadel running. We are going to show the galaxy what its leaders really are." Laughed, a deep sound that shook the walls. "Human, you do not think small." "Why would I? Small thinking is what got us all put in prison in the first place." He looked around the table at his team. Criminals, outcasts, people the galaxy had thrown away. But together they had done the impossible. And they were just getting started. "They caught a mechanic," said, and they put him in a cage. They never asked what a mechanic does when he finds something broken. He pointed at the schematic. He fixes it, or he takes it apart, and the Galactic Authority is very, very broken. Outside the window, the stars continued to burn. Somewhere among them was waiting in a cell, hopping for rescue. Somewhere among them, Commander was planning revenge. Somewhere among them, a galaxy was watching, waiting to see what the escaped prisoners would do next. Looked at the stars and made a silent promise. The mechanic's work was not done. Not by a long way.